Everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Sorry about the delay. If you were to see, I haven't uploaded a video in 5 days. The reasoning for this is because, well, let's just say I got volunteered, and if you can't, because you can't see, I put air quotes there, into doing, a sport. And these sports are like 3 hours long, you know, by the time you're done, you're basically exhausted, and this is going on till like the end of April. So until then, expect only videos on the weekends. Maybe I can if I can, I could try to upload one on the weekday, but most likely not. So I'm sorry about the delay. There's nothing I can really do about it. But anyway, let's get started with our review on the KSP Interstellar mod. So to get things started off, I created a custom world that was on career mode. And this world, as you can see when it loads up, it has a research and development center for level 3, and all these are level 1. Because the amount of research you need to get the parts in Interstellar is insane. Like, sometimes it can get up to 3,000 science. That's why I gave myself 20,000 science. I might need to give myself more. But if we look in the research center, all these green ones are just stock, but this is your first one that's from KSP Interstellar, this Advanced Electrics one. And then in that one, you get these radiators, these inline radiators, because in Interstellar, they realize, I mean, you get like waste heat as a unit. So if you keep something like solar panels in the sun too long, they're gonna get too hot, so they automatically retract, and sometimes that's bad because you lose power, and so you need radiators to overcome that. And usually you have like radiators that fold out like solar panels, but they are a lot smaller than the actual solar panels, unless you are, because I mean, you don't actually need them for like solar panel electric generation. You only need them when you have a nuclear reactor, really. And you need to cool it down. And so you start off with these inline radiators in the 1.25 meter, the 2.5 meter, and the 62.5 centimeter sizes. And then you have a flat radiator, which really nobody uses. A large flat radiator, and also keep in mind these parts can be upgraded to suffice. Like this one can hold more waste heat. Or you have a radial radiator, a small radial radiator. And so let's research that for 160 science. And I have a glitch, and I have to go out and come back in to register. And so we have electronics. So we have these little deuterium and tritium. That is used for fusion reactors, which I will get into later. That's in the, I think, the 1.25, the 2.5, and then this is a helium one. So I think it's in the 1.25 meter size, and then you have an IR telescope. So there's actually a plan to get a telescope out to very, very, very far past the sun. Like it says here, 550 astronomical units. And an astronomical unit basically is the distance from the Earth to the sun. So that's about 50 billion miles away. And put that in perspective, Voyager 1, which is the fastest thing going away for our solar system and has been out of our solar system for the longest time, is only 10 billion miles away, a fifth of the distance this telescope needs to go. And so this would be used to, like it says here, perform deep field observations to study the universe, images of planets within the Kerbal system. And it says it uses the sun as a gravitational lens, and that's why you need to be so far out there. And so that's what you get when you have electronics. You have a dual technique magnetometer, which is used to measure, like it says, detecting antimatter particles, because antimatter is an important part of that. And for anyone that doesn't know, antimatter is the opposite of matter, and so when it collides, it is 100% efficient. And to put that in perspective, even nuclear fusion, like hydrogen bombs, are only 1% efficient. So these can pack a punch. And so the way you get this antimatter is you look in other planets, and you have magnetic. Keep in mind that the magnetic fields are part of generated by the Interstellar mod, and well, they trap antimatter particles, and in layman's terms, the bigger the body, which includes Kerbal, which is the sun, the more antimatter you'll get out of it. And so, a rule of thumb with this, so you don't have to use this, is that the best altitude for collecting antimatter is 1.5 of the diameter of the planet. So, for example, if we were to get the most antimatter from Kerbin, you have to be in a 900-kilometer orbit. Joule, more like a 9,000-kilometer orbit. Duna would be more like a 450-kilometer orbit. Yeah. And then, anyways, you have this gamma ray spectrometer, which detects certain radioactive elements. So let's do that. Let's unlock that. And then here's what I was talking about. These are the radiators. These small heat radiators, and then these are the ones that fold out like, you know, a regular radiator would. But there's some new parts here. These are called electric generators, and basically, you have to have a lot of stuff to generate electricity from something. Like, you can't just put on a reactor and have it generate electricity. You have to put on a reactor, then you have to put on an electric generator, and then I remember you have to put on something else. I don't remember what it was, and maybe it'll appear somewhere here. And then you have the Gigantor from regular stock. And then we have these ion propulsion. And so we have this regular ion engine, the Xenon. We have an Attila thruster, which is not that much better, but it has a lot of thrust. That's the most important part. It uses, like it says, it uses magnetic conduction to enhance the thrust produced from a typical arc jet. For an electric rocket, it has a low exhaust velocity, but provides superior thrust performance as a result. And then we have a 1.25 meter version of that same one. We have a 1.25 meter magnetic nozzle, which is insanely overpowered. Like, look at this. It has, well, I mean, it has a specific impulse of 36,000 in vacuum. And it has a max thrust of 675, which is ridiculous. I mean, for something this high of specific impulse, I mean, I expect it to be a little, a lot lower thrust, but, you know, these actually make it so you can basically go anywhere. So you have a 2.5 meter version and a 3.75 meter version. And then you also have these plasma thrusters, which are not as good, but these also require a lot of power, but they're just not as efficient as these ones. You'd want the magnetic nozzles out of anything. You probably start with these, but the way you get these started is that you have to have a lot of electricity for these to work, or else they won't ignite or anything like that. So first you'd use a fission reactor, and then you use a fusion reactor, and then finally, once you unlock the technology, you'd use an antimatter reactor. And so let's unlock that. And then we have high altitude flight. We have two items: the 1.25 meter and the 2.5 meter thermal turbojet, which are basically the way the thermal turbojet works is that these specific impulses aren't really high, but they get higher as the engine gets hotter. That's why it's called a thermal turbojet, and can be used to make really, really efficient engines when you like get it going. And then in nuclear propulsion, we have these fission reactors, like I said. So we have the Secans fission reactor, which uses molten salt and requires neutronium nitride, all this sort of good stuff. Then we have the Kiwi fission reactor. You know, it requires actinides, thorium, thermal power, uranium. I don't know. Then we have a 62.5 centimeter. Wait, why does it say max thrust? That's a glitch. Here we go. And then we have this atomic motor that we had before, 3.75 meter version 2.5. And then we have a 1.25 meter Cephalins. It uses a particle bed reactor, which basically means that its power is related to its temperature, kind of like the thermal turbojet. And then we have the 2.5 meter version of it, and then we have an Akula, which provides a tremendous amount of power. It's like your flag. It's like the one you'd want to use if you had the technology. And then you have a thermal rocket Nozzle, which is basically the same idea as a thermal turbojet, but in the form of a rocket. Which comes in 60.5 centimeter, 1.25 meter, and 2.5 meter, and 3.75 meter. And then you have a deuterium tritium radial storage. And then if you move up, you have these things called metamaterials, which basically means they're just insanely strong. And what you unlock with this is just really strong components like this multi-point connector, clampetron, and a big clampetron, and also you unlock the solar sail, which is from Interstellar. Basically the way it works is that the sun is emitting photons that if they hit something, they will produce a teensy push. And so to take advantage of that, you need to have a gigantic area so more photons can hit it and produce produce a sizable amount of thrust. And that's basically the idea of a solar sail, is to make something that's really big and really light. And that's basically what metamaterials do. And in advanced science tech, we have the science lab, which you can use to produce antimatter and produce science. But the way it works is that it decreases with the amount of time you stay on somewhere. Like, say I was orbiting around Kerbin, you have an initial amount of science produced, and then we'll go down steadily with time. And, well, it's really low. It's like 2.5 science per... Well, it's not even that high. Like 2.5 science per day, for example. Not that high. And then you have this ISOU refinery, which you can use to refine stuff you can mine a minimus into usable fuel. And then you have this mass spectrometer, which identifies chemicals, and it can be used to now analyze like the chemicals of a planet, like lathe, for example. And then you have this in an inline form factor and 3.75 meter size, and then you have the same thing in 2.5 meter, and that's about all in advanced science tech. Where was I? And then if we go to Hypersonic Flight, we have two items, which are radial scoops, which can collect. The main reason you use something like this is to collect deuterium or tritium from Joule's atmosphere. And you wouldn't really use this on Kerbin because, I mean, intakes can really do the job, but, I mean, the reason you need, like I said, deuterium and tritium is for the fusion the fusion reactors. They're like a critical component, and basically you can find a lot of them in like at gas giants like Joule. I think Joule is the only gas giant, but And then we have an automation. We don't have anything. We just, except this computer core, provide a decent bit of torque, and uses the form of megajoules. Oh, I didn't explain megajoules. Megajoules, you can't create them using normal solar panels. Like I said, you have to use an electric generator to create megajoules. It doesn't work just throw all your ideas of electricity and like Kerbal Space Program out the window while using this mod. Then you have experiment aerodynamics. Like I said, look at this automation for 1,000 science. Experimental aerodynamics. All you unlock a procedural fairings upgrade to 10 meters. And so like I said, let's go out and come back in so we can look at what we've looked at. Why didn't it go? Oh, I didn't research that. And then we have specialized electrics, and this is what you like. You can say have a. Oh, never mind. So these microwave things, they can transmit electricity from place to place. And the reason this would be useful is solar panels aren't really best optimized for when they're in like Kerbin orbit, but due to the inverse square law, if you get twice as close to the sun, your solar panel will produce 4 times as much electricity with the same size of solar panel. And so, if you get really, really, really close to the sun, you can generate huge amounts of electricity from just just a little solar panel. But the problem with that in real life is that solar panels don't really work well in high temperatures, which, if you get close enough to the sun, can be thousands of degrees. So until we solve that, there's none of that happening. Or you could use this to send power to a lighter craft that didn't want to have a reactor. Or stuff like that. So let's research that. And if our message will go away, that'll be nice. And then in this category, we have experimental rocketry. We have another procedural fairing upgrade, which allows 10 well, that's not really a mod for it. But here we finally get the fusion reactors in the 2.5 and 3.75 meter size. And then we have the 62.5 meter Gecko fusion reactor, and then a 1.25 meter version. And then we have the Synchronous 1D, which uses liquid methane and oxidizer. Which, with liquid methane, basically the idea with that is that, with these engines, you use methane to produce a lot of thrust, but you give up specific impulse for that. Because you can choose from a lot of fuels to use. You can use liquid fuel, you can use methane, you can use all sorts of stuff. And then you have a methane tank and a ultra methane tank. Let's research that. And go back out to the research building. Alright, so now we have experimental electrics. We have the microwave thermal receiver, which basically is the way, if we go back, these is how you output the power, this is how you input the power. So let's research that for 1,000 science, and so I am doing this back and forth so many times. Is that it? That's it. What about the warp drive and everything? Where did that go? That is weird. So, when we get into the VAB, I can show you how much power these actually generate. I just want to check if we actually have the warp drive in here. Yeah, that's weird. Why don't we have the Alcubierre warp drive? That was the main thing I was going to show you guys. If I can... But, anyways, to give you an idea of how much, power you need for these, look at this. No, this is a bad example, but if we go to utility, oh, that problem. Oh my god. Why does it do that? Anyways, can you stop that? Yeah, this is kinda, okay. So, an electrical generator. So basically, you need this to generate megajoules, and so the way you do this is you put this on here, you put that on there, and then this would generate, oh, you can tweak scale as well. So really, there's no need. You can make a 7.5 meter reactor. Wow, that is ridiculous. Well, anyways, if things can just go away, you need to have a radiator with this, but, wait. Oh my god. Look at tweak scale. Like, if we were to launch this... Oh. My god. No, that's a little too heavy. What about now? Launch anyway. Does that work still, or no? I'm just trying to experiment around with this. See, this contains 2 million waste heat. And if we, Yeah, because I'm stupid. Revert flight, revert to vehicle assembly. If I can get an example of how, one that does not expand, please. Inline rate. Come on. What can I do about this? No. Oh my god. I swear on my life. Well, the way these work is that they can generate a lot of power, and as you can see, my save file is just glitching out. I don't even know why. So let's go to the creative mode and see if there's any more luck, because the Alcubierre warp drive, which was supposed to show up, didn't. So I'm gonna go into my usual. I'm just gonna go into creative world. Let's see if we can just find. Yeah, I don't care. Anyways, let's see if there's actually the warp drive in here. Oh, I still have the problem. So there's the antimatter reactor. Oh, now I don't have it. Like now I have the Alcubierre warp drive, and basically the way you can get, because you can tweak scale these parts, which is really awesome, to 7.5 meters. What would you do with a 7.5 meter warp drive? But nah, here's the point. You need antimatter to create electricity. I think it's like antimatter to create electricity, which creates exotic matter. I do not remember this. Because warp physics, you got it. It's complicated. But anyways, if I were to do, say, I want to show you how these heat radiators kind of play out. If we were to go to a heat radiator, let's put them on here and launch them. Sorry, I'm just messing around, but anyways, you'd use these to generate about a lot of megawatts of power, but why doesn't it let me deploy them? That is weird. Is it because, let me go over, sorry, I'm just messing around with this. It's just, whoa. I didn't know a command pod could get that big. Do they scale up the crew? I wonder. Yeah, now I'm messing with tweaks. No, that doesn't work. No, it's revert flight, revert to vehicle assembly. Let's go back to the crew. Nope, that doesn't really work. It doesn't scale the crew capacity. But I don't understand why these don't expand. So we have the 2.5 meter electric generator. No wait, we already have one. And then let's do an antimatter reactor using that. And then we have a radiator on this. So I know this is. I'm just I just don't understand what's going on with my saves file. That's the question. Well, anyways, I will check this out in a later video. If you like what you saw, then like, comment, subscribe. This is the Gaming Space signing out.